What are your plans for the playing fields, and what kind of sports and what age?
Well, right now, we have a preliminary plan that was designed by Jimmy Scalise of SK Designs, and it's a base plan that we go on. Right now, we're looking at one main playing field. It's an open space playing field designed to be used by soccer, lacrosse, or football, and then a smaller playing field, which will be a practice field for some teams, the older teams, and some of the smaller youth sports are actually designed for a smaller field, such like bantam lacrosse, pee-wee football, and youth soccer. They'll be able to use that smaller field to use that as their sports, main field for their sports.
Okay, and what is it you want to get out to the community to just make people aware of where this project is going?
Sure. So we're standing on question Article 5 in the warrant, which is a proposal to make this property, which is the North Mountain Park property, as you see behind me and around me, a park here in Dalton. Currently, it is under the jurisdiction of the town treasurer. Back in 2014, it was seized by the town under tax title and awarded to the town under by the Berkshire Land Court, or Massachusetts Land Court. We've approached the town and we've asked that we be able to utilize this space to put playing fields in for our youth. We feel that right now there's not enough playing space down in the town itself. We have 3 parks, and unfortunately those parks can't be fully utilized for any sort of large open space playing field as utilized by football or lacrosse or soccer or other sports like that. Mostly those sports play on baseball fields, in the outfield of baseball fields, and we actually have our soccer teams playing in the cemetery property. So we think this is a perfect opportunity. It's a great space. It's a little over 9 acres. It is just outside of town, but as you can see, it is a beautiful piece of property. We'd like to utilize it not only for playing space, but we see the potential here to set up some hiking trails into the town-owned property behind this, and also the Department of Fisheries Wildlife property. We can see a picnic area since it's so scenic up here, a place where families can come and have a picnic, potentially maybe a playground, and then also the playing field itself.
Okay. Now, tell me more about, you guys said that you can do this without costs, and that would be volunteer driven and stuff like that. Can you just talk more about what costs could be associated with this? Or
so that's something we're going to have to look at. One of the things that we have to wait on is we have to wait if the town votes on the 7th to authorize the Parks Commission to take this property over. We can then come in here and we can do an exact survey of the property. We can get an exact dimension of the property. Not that the assessor's maps that we're going off of now are wrong, but you just want to be sure. There is an agriculturally protected property right next to this that we want to make sure that we're in compliance with the state and town regulations. And then we're going to come in and we'll dig some test holes and we'll do some soil stuff here, and that's going to help us determine overall costs. So that's the next phase for us is feasibility. If it turns out that this is sandy gravel and it's a great base to put such fields and playgrounds, that's great for us. If we run into ledge, it may not be a viable issue. So then what we're going to do, we'll move into a fundraising stage. Our goal on the committee is to establish a subcommittee which will help us raise funds and look at funding costs. It's not, and the goal is not to incur any expense on the taxpayer, added expense. I know one of the questions is cost to build. Right now, preliminarily, even though we're not at that stage, we have been looking ahead a little bit at grants, community action, community block grants. Grants through organizations such as USA Football and USA Lacrosse both have field building grants. There is private organizations. We have an organization right in Pittsfield called the Bianchi Barbarata Fund. They were instrumental in helping raise the money for the Berkshire Community College field, which should be breaking ground soon too. So they're well equipped and versed in fundraising, so we may tap into them and ask for their expertise on how we can raise the funds, approach corporations, businesses, and in volunteer effort too. Again, we do not want to burden the taxpayers if it's not necessary. So that's where we're looking at for funding. In terms of the other question that I get all the time is about maintaining it. It would fall under the CRA's jurisdiction, just like Pine Grove and Green Ridge, Chamberlain. Again, yes, the town would be responsible for some maintenance up here, and there would be maintenance costs associated with it. But just like that now, say Pine Grove, I know the town cuts the grass and maintains some of it. The CRA and their funds, they line the field, they help build the dugouts, they help equip it. And then the private organizations, such as the lacrosse organization or the 12th Man organization for football, or even the Soccers, come in and volunteer. They donate their time, money, and effort to help maintain it. So we would look at the same function there and maintain it in that same way.
Okay. Would there be would the fields need to be insured in any sort of way? Would there be
that would fall under the town, just like it does now. I know the CRA, because in this town the CRA becomes responsible for all the open space recreational fields. It would fall under their insurance, so there wouldn't be any added extra cost there.
Okay. What is the timetable for this project?
Well, that's going to depend on, it's going to be a step-by-step phase, and what it's going to depend on is first step is surveying, seeing what we have, and digging test holes. If we dig some test holes and we see that it's a nice gravel base or a sand base, may able us to move up the time frame a little bit. And it's going to be fundraising. We're not in a rush. We want to do this right. It's a beautiful piece of property. So, and it's going to be contingent upon the fundraising efforts that we can get together. It may take us a year. It may take us longer or shorter, depending upon how we do with the fundraising efforts and what the estimated cost will be once we determine from the design and also from doing the tests.
Okay. Can you tell me what obstacles you have to overcome with permits and stormwater runoff?
So right now, I'm being told, and again, S&K Design has kind of done a preliminary on the property. They're telling us that permit-wise, it's fully permitted for where we are now. We do have to have the Stormwater Commission come up, and if the town votes to move this to the Board of Selectmen as the Park Commission, we'll come up and we'll have them look at the stormwater. But we don't see drainage-wise. We think we're all good there. In terms of DEP permitting and things like that, we don't see any obstacles there either, as I'm being told. Plans do call for a concession stand, and eventually we have to deal with things like handicap access now, handicap accessibility, which is an issue with a lot of our fields now, bringing that up in compliance with the Disabilities Acts. So things of that nature, but yes, we will be looking at, possibly, we talk about a picnic area up behind me on that hill, maybe a gazebo type of picnic area. It's a beautiful view up here so people can come up, possibly that. A concession stand for the different sports that come up here so they can, concessions is a big part of their fundraising, so building a concession stand. But again, right now that's something, it's going to be a small step process as we move forward. The first thing will be to get the fields and this up to that capacity, and then if we move forward to put concession stands in, seating, things of that nature, that's something we'll have to look at down the road.
Okay, yeah, sure. Could you just give me a little description of what your vision is? Like on a beautiful day, what would this place look like?
Sure. Well, up here, so this is the property we're looking at. We're kind of in the south end of the property, maybe sort of in the middle. Up behind me, the property line would go about to the tree line. Up in that far corner, up on the hill, the vision there is a picnic area. It's a gorgeous southerly view with the mountains and everything. So if we keep that up high, and like I said, a gazebo, a picnic area, something of that nature that people can come up to and with their families and have a picnic, or even on a day where there's soccer games, lacrosse games, whatever, they can come here and bring a picnic lunch and go up there and have a nice picnic and oversee all the games and the activities that are going on down on the field. Below that will be a slight grade downhill field, and that will be the main field going across behind me. Almost at our angle, we'd be looking at about the 50-yard line on a football field or the midline on a lacrosse field, soccer field, through here. And then there would be parking all in here. The initial design calls for parking of 150 spaces. As we know, if anybody that's gone downtown during a baseball game or lacrosse game or even a football game on a Sunday morning, Pine Grove and the parking, so we want to take that into consideration, have ample parking. The initial design calls for 150 parking spaces, and then below these parking spaces down in this area will be that small practice field. We're looking at about a 50-yard to 60-yard field there by 50 yards. So it's, like I said, the smaller field to accommodate the younger players, the bantam players, the pee-wee players, and the size that their sports require.
Okay, great. And if people want to learn more about this or be a volunteer or just become more informed, where should they go?
The main thing right now is we do have a Facebook page set up. If they search North Mountain Park, under that, there is a group set up that they can join. We're going to be putting information out as we move along. We'll be updating that, any new information. As the project moves forward, if there is need for volunteers, if fundraising efforts, if there's some sort of event coming up, we'll be posting it on that Facebook group. The lacrosse page, the CRA, the football, the main Dalton Youth Lacrosse has information on it. The CRA has posted information on it. The Dalton 12th Man Football Club, Booster Club, has also posted information on their page. So there should be plenty of spots for people to go to learn more about it. If they go on to either one of those, if they go on the North Mountain Park Facebook page, you'll see where there are actual boundaries or overview of the property. There is the initial design from S&K Design Group, the one that they put together to kind of give us an idea of what will fit and how the property could look. That is subject to change as we move along and we do more research onto the property, but it does give people a feel of what the potential of the property is if we can move forward on this.
Great. Is there anything you want to add that I didn't ask you?
No, just May 7th is crucial, and we're coming up here. I think it was a great opportunity, and I appreciate the opportunity to show people actually what we're looking at, the property itself. I know a lot of people have said to me they didn't even know this property existed. I'd like to thank a lot of the people too. I've learned so much about this from the people that are involved. Everywhere I walk into, I was at LP Adams today and I got some more information about the history of the property. Dick and Crane has provided me with a lot. The family, Pete Barden, and I walked the property and he gave me a lot of history. It's a beautiful piece. It's been an essential part of Dalton for a long time, and I think we'd like to keep it that way and make it and continue it to be an essential part of Dalton for our youth. So I do appreciate the time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.